What's up, everybody? I'm trying to leave it alone, but just shaking my head at every stage of all this. So this was last week. House Republicans blocked Democratic effort, and now House Speaker starts August recess early to avoid the vote. This is CNBC, and we'll be talking about news outlets in a minute. Key points. The House of Representatives will begin its August recess early to avoid Republicans being forced to vote on Democratic-backed motions related to the files.
The government being shut down and Congress going to recess early. What's really going on here? Is there a conspiracy unfolding here? Well, it sure does look like.
So this vote that they shut down early to avoid is the same bill that Ro Khanna of California tried attaching to another vote the other day. I don't have the date, but I've still got the headlines, and everybody's out there saying, see, the Republicans are trying to block this vote by Democrats. Well, watch this.
Wait. So it's being reported that House Republicans unanimously voted to block the release of the Epstein files, and I want to straighten out the record right now. That is not true. If I could vote to release the Epstein files, guys, you would have my vote. I would vote yes. Here's what just happened. It was a procedural vote, and we have these all the time. It's called a PQ. It's voting on the previous question. If the Democrats had won the previous question, which I know sounds insane, it's one of these crazy rules in the House that are hard to understand, that means they would control the House floor. And that means they could bring up anything. They could bring up impeachment articles against President Trump. They could bring up a whole package of insane Democrat agenda items and force votes on the House floor on these things. That's what we voted against. We never allowed Democrats to have control of the House floor because we control the House floor. Yes. So it's a miss.
Okay, so that is an absolutely insane way for our government to run, that you never let the opposition do anything, but that's the way it works. This is lawfare, guys, and none of these people on YouTube are lawyers that I'm watching. So there was no way that this vote was going to take place tomorrow regardless. It was not going to happen. Just because somebody says, I have a bill that I want to get pushed through, doesn't mean they can get it on the floor to get it voted on. So this vote never would have taken place. But CNBC just says, well, that's the reason they're taking off early. Just like last week when they said that the Republicans blocked a vote from a Democratic bill and everybody just parroted it. So be careful about the so-called facts out there. I see a lot of people really sure of things based off of incorrect information. Everybody's calling now for Ghislaine to testify before Congress, and great. I hope she does. I hope we hear all of it. And I hope we hear about the people that we hope to hear about out of it. But how many convictions do you think will come out of one woman's testimony? And you can take it out on me and get mad at me for just pointing out facts. But Patel was on Rogan, said, we don't have what you're looking for. There's an additional letter here saying that no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. So they could be lying and covering up. There could have not been anything checked into FBI evidence to begin with. And I've got my thoughts on that, but that's irrelevant. I'm just acknowledging the reality of the situation, and it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And everybody's had 5 years to cover their footsteps.
Well, I just want to add, when Bondi said we have 10,000 hours of video, she said we have 10,000 hours of video. I had dinner last week with the vice president. He told me that was commercial pornography. They do not have videos of any powerful person in a compromising position.
So, could all be a cover-up? I don't know. Here's what I've been watching, though. A couple weeks ago, before all of this broke, Benny Johnson went down and met with Trump at Alligator Alcatraz. And Benny's definitely one of these approved right guys. But I was amazed how much access he had to Trump during this. He's out on the tarmac here. He's getting to ask questions in the lobby on the way in. He's getting the main questions at the big event. And at the time, I was just thinking, wow, he got a lot of access there. And then last week, he gets sit-down interviews with Mike Johnson, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor, all of these top Republicans. So this dude definitely got tapped to do some PR work here. And he has been one of the loudest, unrelenting voices on these files. So does the Trump team really want everybody to shut up about this? Are they trying to hide and hope it'll go away here? Elon came out and said Trump's on the list, and now Adam Schiff, Jasmine Crockett, Hakeem Jeffries, they're all demanding it. Even mainstream media is talking about it now. Now let me show you something else. Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, came out and accused a former president of a treasonous conspiracy, which is one of the biggest allegations in U.S. political history. That was last Friday, and then all day yesterday, it was all through Fox News, but the big three, ABC, NBC, and CNN, have not acknowledged this whatsoever. Now they're willing to talk about the files, but they're not going to touch this one. And to be honest, this is the story that I've been waiting to come out. Like I said, right after Patel went on Rogan, everybody's going to be focused on this, and they're going to be throwing their rotten tomatoes. But there were other subjects that were brought up during this that do have big consequences. So for now, I'm just going to let everybody be mad. I'm disappointed too. Don't shoot. Those other things he said was how Comey fabricated evidence that interfered with an election. So look, I don't know if they're going to be able to come up with enough evidence to actually have a case. But I think that there's going to be a lot more concrete evidence down this path than in the files. All the Twitter bots are coming out to Barry's defense here, but CNN won't touch it after 3 days. They'll talk about the files. They want the files now, but they're not going to say anything about the conspiracy that their own Rachel Maddow helped to perpetuate. So mainstream media is telling you that Congress recessed early to avoid a vote. That never would have happened in the first place. And the X-bots are making sure that in the early 90s, Obama was in Harvard Law Review while Blumph was at parties with Jeffrey. Interesting indeed. Static out.